Okay, we're back to the final area, the final face-off with the Acererak. Very nasty fight. Pay attention to the details. This smallish 10 by 20 burial vault has an arch ceiling with 25-foot peak. There is absolutely nothing in the room, although there's a small depression a few inches deep and about a 2-foot square in the center of the floor. Careful inspection will discover a small hole in the middle of this depression, another keyhole. If the first key is inserted herein, the individual doing so is blown upwards by the force of the resulting explosion of the key for 5d6 damage. They'll be saying by that individual only. The second key will fit within the hole and nothing untoward will occur. I mean, nothing bad happens. In fact, nothing whatsoever will happen until it's turned 3 times to the right in succession. Immediately when this is done, a trembling will be felt, and the center of the south, 15 feet to the crypt floor, will peak. Let's get our map back up. At this moment, begin to count to 5. Any character upon the south 15 feet of the floor at the end of the count will be risen upwards to ascend the vault, has been squashed to jelly against the arched door. Let's read this again carefully. Okay? So you turn this key 3 times, and when this is done, you have trembling. And the center of the south 15 feet of the crypt floor will peak. At this moment, begin to count to 5. Any character upon the south 15 feet of the floor at the end of the count has been risen upwards with ascending vault and has been squashed to jelly against the arched door. So what you're talking about is this is being lifted up towards the ceiling. And if you're standing on it and don't get out of the way in time, you'll be squished, okay? So that's pretty nasty. This is where you have this graphic 33. We showed this to you earlier. Now this is actually opening up a vault, if I'm not mistaken. There's a door in the center device with an insert ring. A hard pull will swing open a thick door, display graphic 33, and inside are the following. All of the items from the characters teleported nude. Wait a minute. Is it just their stuff that went here? I thought the characters got teleported nude here. Have I gotten that wrong the entire time? I thought for sure that it said the characters were teleported here and their stuff was teleported somewhere else. I must be wrong. Correct me in the comments and laugh at me for being wrong for something from 2 hours ago. 9710 GP gems, 3 huge gems, a 10,000 GP peridot, 50k GP emerald, 100,000 GP black opal, 12 potions and 6 scrolls, random, 1 ring. Sometimes those random scrolls and stuff end up giving people something that's really powerful. You have to be careful with that. But it's okay. When it says random, just let the dice determine what it's going to be. 1 ring, 1 rod, 1 staff, miscellaneous magic item. Hey, that could be pretty nasty. The rod and staff could be very powerful. +4 sword of defending. That's amazing. 2 cursed swords, oh well, and a cursed spear of backbiting. The demilich Acererak also lingers in the crypt. Now, this is the storyline for this guy, right? Ages past, a human magic user cleric of surpassing evil took the steps necessary to preserve his life force beyond the centuries he had already lived, and this creature became the Lich Acererak. Over the scores of years which followed, the Lich dwelled with hordes of ghastly servants in the gloomy stone walls of the very hill where the tomb is. Eventually, even the undead life force of Acererak began to wane. So for the next 8 decades, the Lich servants labored to create the Tomb of Horrors. Acererak destroyed all of his slaves and servitors, magically hid the entrance to his halls, and went to his final haunt, so his soul roamed strange plains unknown to even the wisest of sages. Joining the halves of the first key calls his soul back from the prime material plane, and the use of the second key alerts the now demilich that he must be prepared to do battle in order to survive yet more centuries. All that now remains of Acererak are the dust of his bones, and his skull resting in the far recesses of the vault. This bit is enough. If the treasure of the crypt is touched, the dust swirls in the air and forms a man-like shape. If the shape is ignored, it will dissipate in 3 rounds. For it can only advance and threaten, not harm. Any physical attack will give it 1 factor of energy, however, and spell attacks give it 1 energy factor for every level of the spell used. For example, a 3rd level spell bestows 3 energy factors. Each factor is equal to a hit point, and if 50 energy factors are gained, the dust will form into a ghost. Now remember, ghost is just a good old-fashioned monster for the monster manual. You have to look it up. The ghost will be controlled by Acererak, and this thing will attack immediately. That rarely happens. Rarely happens. If someone starts trying to hit this fake version of the ghost, and you have to tell the players what's happening, is it taking any damage, what's going on, no one's going to sit there and beat on it for 15 melee rounds. And no one's going to sit there and blow all their spells on this thing. When they realize the thing is kind of translucent, swirling dust, man-like shape, they're going to be like, wow, it dissipates in 3 rounds. You wouldn't even be able to do anything. That's kind of weird. It's good because it creeps people out and they're not sure what to do with it. Okay, let's move on. The dust will waver and fall back if it's struck by a blow or spell, as if suffering actual damage, so formation of the ghost is not too improbable. If the character is so foolish to touch the skull of the demilich, a terrible thing occurs. Let's use the next illustration. Here's the thing sitting in the dust. Classic photograph, Dave Trempier. The skull of Acererak rises into the air upon touch. It slowly scans the party. There are 2 jewels set in his eye sockets. This is where it gets really scary. 50,000 GP rubies. And there are 6 pointed marquee cut diamonds set as teeth in the jaw. Each diamond worth 5,000 GP. The demilich can tell which member of the party is the most powerful, and it will usually select a magic user over a fighter over a cleric, and a cleric over a thief. The soul of the strongest will be drawn instantly from his or her body and trapped within the right eye jewel, and the gem eye will gleam with wickedly evil lights as the character's body collapses, and a mass of corruption and molders in a single round, totally gone. The skull will then sink down again, satiated. If it is struck or touched a second time, it will rise again and drain the soul of the next strongest character into the other eye. This process repeats through all 6 of the diamond teeth, and if the skull is still intact and still molested, it will pronounce a curse upon the remaining characters, which will teleport them randomly within a 100 to 600 mile radius, each cursed by some fate similar to always being hit by opponent when attacking, never making saving throws, losing all the treasure, like gaining experience. The latter part of the curse can be removed by a simple remove curse spell, but the charisma of the character will be treated to drop 2 points immediately hereafter and remain there permanently unless magically increased, has a magical method to remove it's been found. So, if you have a party, right, of X number of players, it's 6 diamond teeth and 2 eyes, that's 8. And this is not something you can defend against. You're not going to get a saving throw. These 6 marquee cut diamonds, these are like soul traps, like soul gems. And each of the eyes are as well. So, the first time it happens, fool you once. The second time it happens, fool you twice. If it keeps going and going and going, when this thing is full, right, if you do anything to it again, you get teleported away. There's no way for anyone to touch the skull, right, and live. So, with your hands. The demolish skull can be harmed as follows. The forget spell will force the skull to sink down without taking away a soul. So it could be rising up and scanning the party. You cast forget, which I think is like a level 2 magic user spell. It will sink down and not do anything. It will forget what it was going to do. I don't think anyone has ever done that. It just doesn't seem like something intuitive that would work against a demilich, right? It's a low-level spell. Each shatter spell thrown at it will inflict 10 hit points of damage. That's actually quite powerful, but shatter is another spell that's not used very often. Power word kill pronounced from an astral or ethereal plane will destroy it. So you can destroy a Acererak by doing power word kill, but you have to be in the astral or ethereal plane. Now remember, entering the astral or ethereal plane will summon a type 1 to 4 demon as well every round that you're in that plane. But the odds of someone thinking of doing that from the astral plane is almost nothing, unless you're just the most hardcore multi-plane entity ever and you realize that the demilich isn't actually here, this is a manifestation of him. That's pretty crazy. Only a fighter with a vorpal blade, which is a really rare weapon, a ranger with a sword of sharpness +5, probably one of the best weapons in the game, or a vorpal weapon, or a paladin with the same weapon or a +4 weapon can inflict damage upon the skull. This is the way to do it. When the skull comes out and starts trying to scan the crowd and doing things and zaps the first powerful guy, whacking the crap out of it on the table without touching it with a +4 weapon, that allows you to put damage on it. An exercise spell will cause it to sink as a forget does. That means that when it rises up and starts scanning the crowd, casting that spell will make it forget about crushing a soul. So Dispel Evil inflicts 5 hit points of damage. Holy Word, pronounced to get it, inflicts 20 hit points of damage. This one's kind of weird. A thief slinging one of the large gems found in the crypt, remember there's been tons of gems everywhere, will inflict 1 hit point of damage per 10k value. So 1, 5, 10 damage. The gem is thereby shattered, and even if it misses, it must be saved versus a crushing blow. The gem is shattered by hitting a wall. The odds of a thief standing back and taking a sling and shooting it at a skull sitting on a table seems pretty low as well. Acererak skull fakes 50 hit points of damage before it's destroyed. Excuse me, not fakes. It is AC -6. If the skull is destroyed, each gem trapping a soul must make a saving throw versus magic as if it were the character trapped within. Those failing their save contain no life force. The demilich drained their soul and devoured it before being destroyed. Those which succeed still contain the character's soul, and this is evidenced by the faint inner light. Visible as a tiny figure within the gem if viewed by True Seeing, True Sight, or the Gem of Seeing, or the one you found in the adventure, which has like 12 charges. The soul can be freed by crushing the gem, but some material body must be within 10 feet distance to receive it. Or a clone, a I hate this word, simulacrum, a soulless body of some sort. Destruction of the demiurge earns a suggested 100,000 experience points. This considers all actions of the Tomb of Horrors to gain the crypt. Treasure taken out should add an additional 1 experience point for every 2 GP of value. And this ends your adventure. So, let's do a quick little conversation about how to beat this guy, right? Whack on it. It's -6 AC. If you take 50 points of damage, it's destroyed. Okay? There's other enemies in the adventure that have more hit points than that. If you have done the Vault of the Drow already, you have no problems. You're level 14, 13, 14, 15. 50 hit points is not that much. -6 is a pretty good armor class, but you've also got +3, +4 weapons by now. So I'm not going to look it up in my DM screen, but your chance to hit this probably going to be around 50%. Maybe 15 to 20. I could be wrong there. I'll have to look it up later. But the whole rising up and trapping people, that's just a great way to freak people out in the very beginning. So let's go look at the map again. The thing about this adventure, to me, that's really tricky is nothing's worse than everyone getting dressed up to go to the prom to find out they left the car keys at home. There's a couple of spots in this adventure where if you don't do a certain thing, you can't find a way to move forward. And those key points in the adventure can be deal breakers, which can drain the soul of the players who don't know how to proceed. In the old days, right? Before there was computers, before there was Atari 2600 or anything else, they were playing D&D in 1976, 77, 78, searching for secret doors, taking your time, resting, getting new spells, talking amongst yourself, a party of 8 of your teenage friends, or however old you were when you started playing. It was a slower paced game. You only had like Buck Rogers and Logan's Run and stuff on TV. You didn't really have anything else to draw from. There was no Indiana Jones like yet. There had just been Star Wars 1 and The Empire Strikes Back is like in 78 or 79. You don't have a lot of media references when you're a kid playing this, but in the modern world, there's so many more references. Why do I mention this? Because modern world people probably are not going to be able to solve some of these very, very tricky problems. Old school people, probably so. And we have a huge resurgence of old school players happening now. But secret doors, mechanisms, and there's about 5 or 6 gotchas in the whole dungeon. And it's up to you as a dungeon master whether you want those things to destroy people or if you just want them to be really, really nasty. Now, I do want to check one other thing real quickly before we go. I know this has been a long series of videos. I think I'm going to release them as a series, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in order, so you don't have to listen to 1 hour at a time. There was a part about being teleported without your clothes to Area 11 and Area 3, etc., etc. I think I made a mistake in the reading of this entire thing that said that you'd be teleported to Area 33. I thought for a fact I read somewhere that people would be teleported to Area 33. Why don't you guys look that up for me and tell me if I was wrong? I thought for sure I read that somewhere that you're teleported here without your stuff and all your junk gets teleported to this other location. Have I got it reversed? Who knows? If you made it this far, hats off to you for enduring my long-ass video. I thought this series would be a lot of fun. I hope you had enjoyed going through it. This is something that's really a classic. It's had a lot of memories for a lot of people. Its redos in later years are kind of lame, but the original is just nasty, and I hope that you've had fun hanging out with me while we do it. Leave your comment. Tell your war story. Tell us how you handled some of these things for our DM tour. We want to hear from you because the best way to get people excited about the game, even some of us that can't play anymore because our lives are so busy, it's fun to kind of live vicariously through the tales and the stories of playing these classic modules. And if you like this kind of a series, let me know. They take a lot of energy, but this game just has changed people's lives. Love it to death. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again real soon.